Hello there. Thank you for having me here. Always a pleasure. Uh, the stepping out of the campaign by President Biden is a chronicle of a foretold death. A lot of people have been speculating on this possibility, and frankly, it surprises no one. About a little over a month and a half ago, he was found incompetent to stand trial by attorneys in his own Department of Justice. If a man is incompetent to stand trial, is incompetent to be president, and let alone run for re-election. And that's when the trouble started for him. In the past 3 days, Democrats have been essentially browbeating him into accepting reality. He did not want to step out, and a lot of pressure had been brought to bear, including Democratic donors who told the party there was not going to be a dime if this is the candidate. On his way out, predictably, he endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris. Now, I have bad news for the world. 3.5 years ago, I was telling people, and in this very channel, that Biden's election was bad for America, but worse for the world. Harris is exponentially worse. Now we're going to go through a period of instability, and if the reactions recently have not been good, they're going to be, frankly, very, very bad over the next 3 months. Vice President Harris, yes. Well, as the withdrawal of President Biden shows, nothing is guaranteed. She is the front runner now for the Democrats. Hillary Clinton is an unburied political cadaver. She will not be doing anything in this race except, naturally, speak in favor of the candidate. I am told through some back channels that Michelle Obama is helping Kamala Harris line up donors for her campaign, which is probably a role that she relishes more than being a candidate herself. There are 2 or 3 other Democrats who salivate at the idea. Governor Whitmer from Wisconsin, Governor Gavin Newsom from California. But the party apparatus is definitely not moving away yet. And there is the question of the millions, dozens of millions of dollars in the campaign funds that can be used if Kamala is the candidate, but not if she's not. And monetary considerations are paramount in this. Biden wasn't pushed out until the donors dried up supplies. And now they may come back, but I'm sure that they don't want to give up the money in the campaign fund. Oh, today he is heading for a landslide. The Democratic Party is imploding. Nobody likes Kamala Harris. She never got more than 1% of the vote in her own party. Nobody likes her. Everybody remembers how she got her first job in California, and it's not palatable. Even those who don't quite like Trump are coming to realize that he is probably the only alternative right now. There is an axiom in politics, which sounds more ominous in the Middle East, I'm sure. Never make a martyr of your adversary, because all you're going to do is rally people around him. The Democrats have made a martyr out of Trump with legal persecution that all came to nothing, and now an attempted assassination attempt. He is an attempted assassination, I mean. He's running high in the polls, his latest rally in Grand Rapids, Michigan, it is a Democratic stronghold. It was like a final at a World Cup game. He is commanding tens and tens of thousands of people who show up to cheer him, while the Democrats don't have anybody they can show. Well, it influences all of those, but obviously the reason is is the last ditch effort of the Democratic Party to preserve itself from the pickle they put themselves in. Let's face it, we all knew a long time ago that Biden did not have the intellectual or mental abilities to do his job. The results have been catastrophic around the world. America's indecision, or worse, have thrown the Middle East, Eastern Europe, into a ring of fire. We can just look at the lack of response to the Houthis stopping traffic through Bab el Mandeb to know that America has not been protecting its own interests, let alone those of its allies. We all knew that. We all knew he wasn't awake more than 2 hours a day. Only a month ago, Kamala Harris was covering for him. He's the most intelligent person in the planet. He's lucid. He's doing fine. He wasn't, and she knew it. They pushed this to the very end, and now they have no recourse, particularly after the disastrous debate performance. So now they're left with no candidate, 3 months out, as you pointed out. I can't recall occasions in which a candidate was assassinated or died of a heart attack or a cold. But something like this, yes, we have never had in this country. We're going to have 3 months of turmoil, 3 months in which the enemies of the United States are going to be able to act more or less with impunity because our government is in disarray, and that's where the Democratic Party has brought us. Now, a candidate will eventually be settled next month. Yes, well, number one, I will correct you on one thing. Those were Israeli F-35s, not American. Now, Trump says he will solve this problem. I believe he can do it. I believe that he can essentially make Putin understand that if there isn't a withdrawal of troops from Ukraine, he will never be able to sleep 2 nights in the same place again. I believe that giving support to Israel to eradicate Hezbollah and the Houthis is a matter that our Air Force alone can take care of in a matter of days. So, yes, I believe he can do it, and I believe he will do it. Whether it takes 24 hours or 2 months is a different story, but he will. And we'll see a revitalization of the Abraham Accords. I remind you that while President Trump was in the White House, Putin did not dare invade Ukraine, and nobody withdrew from Afghanistan or Iraq. Those are the actions of President Biden. And also, President Trump's approach to the Middle East resulted in a historic peace between Arab countries and Israel that yielded fruit not long ago when the air forces of Saudi Arabia, Jordan, the Emirates, and other Arab countries, for the very first time since there is a conflict there, took to the air not to attack Israel, but to defend it against an Iranian attack. I will also remind you that President Trump had Iran on the ropes, and they're going back there. They're going to be crippling sanctions, and if attacks again are orchestrated by Iran, Iran will pay directly for any attack on Israel or any other ally of the US or any Arab country with the destruction of their military bases. That is the change between a Democratic and a Republican government. Well, if you can find one, let me know, because I don't see anybody with a half a brain. I have to say, of what I just heard, that Putin is in for a big surprise. The Democrats are the ones who had the reset, infamously, Minister Lavrov, and he has Alzheimer's. The man cannot operate more than an hour a day. He has been out of it for the past 2 years at least. He was not well when he was forced into the ticket 4 years ago, and he is beyond the ability to dissimulate today. He cannot be president. Like I said before, only a month ago, his own Department of Justice determined that he does not have the mental capacity to be a defendant in a trial. If he has no mental capacity to defend himself in a trial, he most definitely does not have the mental capacity to be president and commander-in-chief in the United States. And what is being kept as a secret while he's, speaking of Russia, this reminds me of the Soviet Union. And my commentary would be Comrade Brezhnev has a cold. They have covered for him, but now, being forced to campaign, which 4 years ago he didn't, and he got the cover of COVID for it. Now there is no cover of COVID. There is no excuse for him not to be out. So he came out and he made a fool of himself in front of millions, both on the debates and on the debate, only one took place, and on press conferences. The man just gave an hour and a half speech going off script. He's crisscrossing the country. He's ad-libbing with a perfect command of issues in front of tens of thousands. And yes, he is. You see, the problem is not just the age. Somebody could be 90 years old and be perfectly lucid. Some people cannot put two and two together at 75. President Biden's problem is not his age, is his illness, is this decrepit state of his mind. It's not an age issue.